welcome to the REDX podcast. My name is Haley Johnson. We have a very special guest today. Andy Rosas is here with us in person, which is very exciting.
Let's go.
Special episode. He's here in Utah, so we thought we'd get him in here and do a podcast for you guys today. Awesome. But Andy, why don't you tell people that don't know who you are a little introduction just so they can get to know me
a little bit more?
Yeah.
A little more intimacy on this podcast?
Yes.
It could be an intimate
it's very
podcast.
Intimate. We're like right next to each other.
I can touch you.
Yeah, I know.
That's awesome. Yes, so I'm Andy Rosas, the co-founder of Habit Guys, and we specifically teach real estate agents better habits because realtors, I don't care if you're seasoned or brand new, you have access to a ton of tools and resources, and if you don't have the right habits, it doesn't mean anything to you. It will just sit in your shelf, in your browser. You have a beautiful business card, a beautiful website, and no one's gonna know anything about you. So you need to have really good habits. And we realized that realtors with a 90% failure rate don't have the best habits. So what a beautiful industry to create a business that specifically focuses on behavioral science, which is just a fancy word for habits. So yeah, and that's what we do. We teach agents how to put prospecting on autopilot, how to create the habit of prospecting, because that is the number one habit that agents should be doing and that they avoid the most.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Oh yeah.
They avoid it
all the time.
Oh, you're listening to this podcast right now and you're like, yep, Andy, that's me. It's probably you watching this right now, right? Because you're scared of it and understand it. And I'm sure we'll dig into that on this episode as well, right?
Yes.
So absolutely.
Yes. That is something I want to talk about today, especially for new agents who get into the business, right? Because you mentioned 90% fail rate, which is crazy.
It's nuts.
How many people get in with false expectations about how it's going to be. And so I kind of want to get into that a little bit with somebody who gets their license or they're straight, the first few days, right? Like their broker or someone will tell them, their coach or whatever, like, okay, call your sphere of influence. Correct. Right? That's like one of the first things to say.
Make those calls.
Yeah. And so, and we get emails all the time. People are like, so I got your system. I bought all these leads and stuff, but I am so afraid to get on the phone. So they a lot of people know at least that prospecting is important.
Correct.
But they just can't make that initial call. So talk to me a little bit about that. There's a lot of call reluctance in the industry.
Oh my gosh.
So what would you say to an agent who knows they need to make the calls? And yeah, let's go from there.
Well, first, that they're not alone. If you're afraid making calls, if it terrifies you, if it gives you anxiety, if you get sweaty palms, the increased heart rate, it's normal. That's the first thing. So newbie agent, whoever's listening to this right now, it's normal because I'm pretty damn good at prospecting and I still get nervous and I get the anxiety and I prospect live every Wednesday as well for everybody. And I'm nervous and I'm like, but it's what those nerves mean to you that needs to change, because if you let nerves and anxiety and uncomfortableness dictate your actions, then that's where the problem comes in. That's where we come in as the Habit Guys, because that's what we teach, how to get past that. So a little bit of history on this. 99% of realtors come from a job, right? Because I want to tell you, why do we feel distressed? Why do agents not want to make the call, right? So let me tell you why. The reason why is 99% of realtors come from a job. They work for somebody else. And when you work for somebody else, you're told what to do. You're told when to do it. You're told when to take breaks. You're held accountable for things. And you have what's called an employee identity. It means it's an employee belief system where it doesn't matter how many hours you work, you still get paid. Everything you shoot an email out to somebody, people write you back.
Right.
You call someone at corporate, they call you back. It's the craziest thing. Like what? And then when people need to reschedule with you as an employee, people cancel ahead of time. And they're like, hey, can we reschedule our appointment? It's the wildest thing. and realtors come from this. Yeah. This is the background they come from. From corporate. It's a comfortable, corporate, structured. That's the identity that we teach. And have my program, Habit University, we teach, okay, that's where realtors come from. So a broker or anyone simply telling them, hey, make the call, that doesn't change anything. Hey, make those calls, just do it. That doesn't change anything, because that employee inside, even though now they're an entrepreneur, right? They got their license, they joined a brokerage. That brokerage gives them all the tools and resources, REDX. They buy your program. They have this beautiful dialer. They touch one button, and I love it because I use it. I love it. The dialer is great. One button, I'm dialing hundreds of numbers, right? But they don't even touch the button because they have this employee identity inside of them that's like, oh my gosh, but what's going on? Yeah. So until we change that identity, that belief level, they're never going to prospect the way they should. So us as coaches, us as brokers, we have to do better than just saying, do it. I get it. It's the same reason why people don't go to the gym. Go to the gym and work out. Genius, bro. I know that already. But why don't they do it? Because a belief system needs to change behind working out, behind prospecting, behind eating right. All that has to change. Because your belief system, so you know, drives your actions. So if right now you're not happy in your spiritual life, financial life, your finance, if I said that twice, your physical fitness, it's because your belief level is not at the level it needs to be to take those actions needed to execute. So what happens is this: we need to change our belief system about ourselves. So if you're a new agent listening to this, you're like, yes, I know. I'm so uncomfortable calling my friends and family to let them know I get this thing. I don't know what to do, what to say. And it's normal. Yeah. It's absolutely normal. But what's not normal is feeling uncomfortable and then not taking the action, because then what starts to happen is realtors shut down. And then they don't make they buy REDX, they don't use it because they shut down. And so what they have to do to change your belief system is start proving it to themselves that they can make those calls. Right. And how do you do that? Obviously, it's with small steps, starting a little small, little by little. You don't gain weight overnight. Right. You don't create an identity overnight. It happens because how long have people been working a job, you think, for somebody else? 10? Yeah. 20? 30 years, yeah, right? You're probably listening to this podcast going, yeah, Andy, I've worked for somebody else for 30 years. So of course you have a 90% chance of failing, because how do you expect a person who's been told what to do, never had to deal with confrontation or rejection or go up to somebody, unless you're in a sales role, right? But a lot of those sales reps don't go and become realtors. It's usually corporate folks that come in to become realtors. And they come into the role. Of course you're not going to want to prospect because you never had to prospect. You never had to put yourself out there and be rejected and all these things. So long-winded answer of that's what's going on in real estate. That's why. Change your belief system and you can change everything. Everything changes. Right. Everything. And I really like your analogy that you used of like you going to the gym, for example. Like, and I think that can be compared to REDX. So if you get a gym membership, like let's say you made a New Year's resolution, you want to go to the gym, right? And so many people buy memberships at the beginning of the year. Absolutely. And a lot of people buy REDX at the beginning of the year. That's like really? That's like their thing. Yeah, right. Well, January 1, it's like, okay, I'm gonna kick it. I'm gonna call. I'm gonna make all these calls and stuff. And then a lot of people drop off, right? Because they get really excited to like start something new. It's a new year, new resolutions. New everything, yeah. But the thing is like, same thing with the gym membership. They think like, okay, a gym membership was like the hardest part, but it was the easiest part, right? Correct. Going to the gym every single day is going to be a whole nother monster that maybe you're not prepared for. Same thing with REDX. If you buy it, like it's going to feel good, but then actually doing the calls, it's a whole nother story. That's so true. Yeah. And so so changing your belief system, when you say that, I'm like, oh, that sounds hard. But like, what are some little things that agents can do? Like you said, it's like daily habits, right? Changing things, what you do every single day. What do you do to every single day that helps you change your belief system? So changing your belief system, what you have to do is you have to change the evidence you've seen, because the reason top producers can prospect is because they've seen evidence of people talking to them and them building relationships, and they're like, oh wow, prospecting does work. I can do this, right? Right. So if you see that enough, right, where that's why you got to keep listening to these podcasts, doing all this, listening to guest speakers coming in and talking about the tour, because this also people are like, oh wow, if he can do it, then I can do it. So you have to start proving it to yourself. Like, oh, wait a minute. Okay, I can do that, right? So that little voice, the way you change it is by doing little activities. So one tip I would tell you right now, if you're having a difficult time with prospecting, is just make one call. One call a day. I can do that. Do it for 7 days. Yeah, one call a day for the next 7 days. You're listening to this podcast. Make one freaking call a day. That's it. That's all you got to do, okay? If you need a script, don't worry, at the end, I'll tell you where to get the scripts that I use. We'll talk about morning routines as well. We can talk about that at the end. I got giveaways for you guys, okay? So you just call, connect with that person, just make one call. Because the hardest part of any habit is starting. Yes. That's it. So forget about closing somebody. You're not calling to close somebody. You're calling to make a friend, right? That's another thing as well. You're calling to make friends with people. You're not calling to close people. So make that first call, because once you tell someone, we'll make 100 calls today. Oh my gosh, that seems so much, like too much. Like, work out for an hour. Oh, I don't know if I'm gonna do an hour. But if you tell someone, hey, do a minute of air squats in your house. Okay, I'll do a minute of air squats. I can do that. Do that for 7 days. And then you'll hear that little voice in your head go, all right, I didn't lose weight or anything, but I was able to work out 7 days in a row. That felt pretty cool. Like I did air squats for 7 days in a row. Right. I made one call 7 times. That felt pretty cool, right? You probably only got voicemails and didn't even talk to anybody. But guess what? The fact that you took action and showed up and made the call, that is how you start changing that little voice in your head that's like, I can prospect. Yeah, I will prospect, and you do it.
Yeah, and I like that because I've fallen into this trap as well. When you show up to the gym and you force yourself to be there for an hour, and then you're like the next day you're like, oh, I can't do that again.
I know,
like an hour
yes,
that's so long,
too.
or you're so sore, or like whatever, right? And so the fact that if I was like, okay, I'm just gonna go for like 30 minutes, and I'm gonna walk on the treadmill, and I'm gonna go home. It's something easy. So then you want to go back, because I think if you like burn yourself out really, really quickly because you're really excited. I love this like stop and do it slow, because that's what's going to create sustainable
and
growth.
That's it. The same way we have bad habits, it didn't show up overnight. If you're not where you want to be, like your relationship didn't just happen overnight and you divorced overnight. No, it's been malfunctioning for years. Right. Little things have been happening in the relationship where it doesn't work anymore. Gaining 20 pounds doesn't happen overnight. It was small little decisions we made over years as to why we gained the weight we do. Prospecting, it's not that you have a fear today, it's small little things you didn't do, like, oh wow, I did. So the same way we have our bad habits, we apply to good habits now. So if you want to prospect, don't do it big, do it small. You want to lose weight, don't do it big, do it small, because doing it small requires minimal effort, minimal time, minimal willpower, because some days you don't want to work out, but you're like, okay, if I have to like do 5 minutes, I can do 5 minutes. I can do 10 minutes. I can do it. Like right now I'm starting a challenge, the 75 hard. I call it 75 kind of hard, because it's not.
Did you modify it?
Yeah, I modified it, right? But I'm on day 6 right now, right? And that's it. It's just small little steps that I'm trying to build, right? And that's the thing also, guys. It's not about being perfect, changing our habits, right? It's just small little steps that I'm taking. So after 75 days, I'm not worried about results. I'm worried about my belief system when it comes to eating or nutrition and all that start to change.
It's interesting. So because a lot of people start real estate and they have these goals, right? They want to do however many transactions, they want to do however much money, right? And so they're focused on the goal, which is important to have goals, right?
Correct.
But
it's a good starting point.
So how do you like forget that? Like, because you said you're not focused on the goal when like 75 hard. How do you like? You're focused on the habit, but it's hard to not, like, if you're not seeing results, especially, again, this keeps coming up with, like, fitness, right? Like, always, yeah. So many people don't see results after a week that they're like, oh, done. Yeah,
I'm not seeing results. It's like, really?
So many people try REDX for a week, and they're like, oh, I don't have any listing appointments. I don't have any listings. It doesn't work. Oh, my gosh, that's awful. That's awful. So talk to me a little bit about
that. First of all, you need to be trying something for at least a year before you start saying it doesn't work, right? If a new agent's coming in, if you haven't prospected for a year first, don't come to me and tell me real estate's not for you. Don't tell me 3 months, 6 months. Get the heck out of here. You need to honor this position, honor this business better than that. This is not a show up and we make money type of business, guys. Just because the test was easy and you only paid $2,000 to get your dues and your fees, stop it. I really wish it was more expensive to become a realtor, because it would make it harder for people to come in. Because you need to honor this business. Like, come on, guys. Like, you want to make a 6-figure business, but you're only going to try it out for a week or two, 3 months, 6 months. No, try it for a year. First of all, that's what I tell students all the time. At least a year, and you'll see that if you're prospecting the majority of the time, right? Not 7 days a week, but 3-4 days a week. Perfect. That's what you want to be. If you're prospecting 4 days a week, that is beautiful. Right. And then I would say just focus on building the relationship with the person instead of focusing on, and then, it was the outcome. Right. So the win is what is this. If you're prospecting for 6 months or a year, forget about the transaction. Focus on how many calls you made and how many conversations you had. Those are things you can control.
Right.
Focus on what you can control. I can't control the weight loss. I can control how many reps I do, right? I focus on the action. Because when you become obsessed with making the phone call and celebrate that, that's why we have what's called a weekly prospecting sheet where we track how many calls we make. That's what you have to focus on. So I would get a little calendar and then just put an X over the day. Once you made one call, just one call, put an X on it, on that calendar. So you're like, I made one call today. Cool. Celebrate the call. Because deals will fall through, right? People's financial situation changes. You can show a buyer a property for 6 months or a year. They change their mind. You'll go nuts. But if you focus on actions, just making the call, then you're like, oh, I'm falling in love with the process. Outcomes take care of themselves over time. You can't focus on that. Focus on, it's great to have goals. But if you only focus on goals, you're just going to get totally derailed as to what really matters. What really matters.
Yeah. Can you imagine only worrying about like what you can control? Because
oh my gosh,
I feel like so many people, I mean, even myself included, we worry so much about things that we can't control. And it
all
just ruins everything. Like you get really stressed out. And 90% of people fail out of the business, right? Because they're so focused on the wrong things. So I love that. Focusing on the right things,
focus on the calls.
Simple, and
that's it.
And it'll come. And that's the thing with listings is like, if you know how many conversations you need to have a listing, right? Then that's all you have to worry about.
That's it.
Conversations and the listings come.
Correct. And also, by the way, when I say conversations, it's business conversations. And that's why at the end, I'll give away my scripts. Because simply telling someone, hey, I'm a realtor, call me if you need me, bye. That is not a business conversation, guys. At the end of the day, yes, we want to make friends, but you have to have the right conversation on the phone, which is why I'll give you guys the scripts at the end in English and Spanish, okay? So you know what a business conversation sounds like. But like you said, Haley, focus on those conversations. That's it. And then you start to see, oh my gosh, I made 100 calls, 300 calls, and celebrate those, right? And those better be put into your CRM too, right? That's another conversation. There's a follow-up and hearing from you every week. That's something you have to stay in touch with these new friends, right? These business conversations you're having. So that's the biggest win. Focusing on the action, not the outcome.
Great. So, and I kind of want to maybe shift gears a little bit here because you're talking about all these things that people have to do, call, follow up, whatever. I want to talk a little bit about routines because I know.
Let's talk about routines, baby. Let's do it.
That's the thing though, like with people that are like top producers and they're successful in the business, they all have their routines, right? That's something very common that we see when we're interviewing people and things like that is they have the right mindset, which is kind of what we talked about. They have the right habits and they have the right routines. So let's talk a little bit about routines because especially when you're new to the business, right? You're coming from corporate world where like your day is pretty laid out for you, right? Like your boss is telling you what to do, you know what you need to do, like finish and stuff like that. So
hour by hour.
So everything. Where do you start if you're a new agent?
New agent. So there's two of you listening. If you're a part-time agent, then you're gonna probably prospect in the afternoon. So you'll need an afternoon routine. Okay? If you're a full-time agent, you're gonna be prospecting in the morning. So you'll need a morning routine. So you either need a morning routine or an afternoon routine. Okay. That's going to be pivotal for any new agent because here's the problem, especially with full-time agents. They have all day to do something. And that is the biggest weakness because then they procrastinate and they don't do anything with that time. And then they're like,
human nature.
Oh yeah. Then they're like, oh no, but I'm busy. I'm like, you had all day to make calls. You're too busy. What do you mean? You should be on. But that's what happens because they're not told what to do anymore. Now they have all day. So that's why having a routine and structure in the morning, it is critical. Okay. So the first thing I would tell you guys, well, I'm going to give you guys this routine. Should I give it now? What, like a 3-step process for morning routine?
Yeah, sure. Just like
really quick
little snippets.
Yeah. And if you guys want to, at the end, I'll give you guys the morning routine. What you want to do is you want to audit yourself from waking up to prospecting. If you're a full-time agent, you should be making calls at 9 or 10 a.m. That's it. I'm telling you what to do, guys. That's it. I'm not telling you, okay, call whenever you want. No, 9 to 10 a.m. you should be making calls. So I make my calls from 10 to 12. That's it. Okay. If you want to make more, great. 9 to 12. You should by 12 o'clock. You should be done with your workout, your spiritual practice, and your phone calls. All done before 12. If you're a full-time agent. If you're a part-time agent, you should be calling as soon as you get home. So when you get home, what are you doing from the moment you get home to the moment you make that call? that first call you're going to make. So it might be at 4 o'clock, at 5:30, at 6:30, whenever that is, but you now know your times to make those calls. So step one is auditing the moment you wake up to making that call. Write down everything you do, good or bad. Then you grade everything you do, good or bad. And you know what's good and what's bad. Looking on Instagram for really quick, and then it turns into looking at cat memes for 50 minutes. And you're like, oh man, I'm busy. No, you're not. You're distracted. So you have to grade yourself, right? With plus or minuses on there. And then you take out all the negative stuff. And you just have a working list as to these are the activities I should be doing first thing in the morning, or these are the activities I should be doing first thing I get home that will get me from the straightest line possible to prospecting, opening up REDX, and on that phone, making friends. That's the biggest thing I would tell agents. If you don't have a routine, here's the thing. If you don't have a routine or if you don't have a plan, you become a part of somebody else's plan. Because other people are going to call you and they're going to grab your attention. Your kids are going to grab your attention. Your wife's going to grab your attention. So they have better plans for you than you do. But if you're intentional and you have a routine and you have a list of things that you need to do, you're going to be intentional and do it. It's like going to the grocery store without a list. If you show up with no list, you're going to be like, oh, look, Oreo cookies. Great. Look at this. And you're going to waste time. You're going to waste money. And anything's just going to pop up in your life. But if you have a list, you go right for the milk, right for the bananas, right for the bread, right for this, done, and you're out. That's it. Same thing with the morning routine and an evening routine. Same thing.
Why is it so hard for people to figure out why, I think routines is maybe against like our human nature, right?
Correct.
We kind of like do whatever. So why is this so difficult to implement?
Well, because our brain loves easy. Yeah. Our brain loves to do what it did yesterday. Right. Even if it's bad for you, that's why we eat the way we do. That's why we work out the way we do. That's why we talk the way we do. Our brain just loves to be comforted doing the same thing over and over and over again. It loves it. It doesn't want new things, right? So first we're programmed that way, right? We're like, oh my gosh. And also it's simple. And what's simple to do is also simple not to do.
Oh yeah.
Right? It's like, it's too simple. It's like, because I just gave you guys what you guys just heard, I charge thousands of dollars for, right? Like this is part of my I have coaching programs, and one of them is morning routines and evening routines. And I dive deep into this. Yeah. And I just give it out for free. And guess what? Half of the people listening to this are not even going to download it when I give it to them at the end. I'm giving it to them for free. Great, cool. And they're not going to do anything with it because it's easy. It's there. It's given to them. They don't, they're like, oh yeah, I'm just going to do it. No, you're not.
It's interesting too, like you hear from people that are struggling in the business and they're like, I'm just not getting my listings, or I'm on a Facebook group for new real estate agents and I see all the time like, I just can't get my first listing, and there's just people struggling. But if you dive down to why they're struggling, would you say most of the time it's because of this? It's because they don't have a routine, they don't have the right habits, they're not like doing the right activities, like
correct.
And so they're just like, I'm at a loss. I don't know what to do. Well,
when I hear that, I want to ask for data. It depends on what mood I'm in, but I'll ask them straight up. So how many calls did you make? How many conversations have you had? Oh, you given up? If someone calls me as REDX, I told customer service today, you want to cancel? Oh, it's not working for me. Cool. How many conversations have you had? How many calls have you made? Let me look at your data. Actually, I forgot the dashboard. What's it called? When I go into I forgot the name of it.
Vortex?
No. But when I get to see my data. Dialer, I forgot what it is, but I can see my data. That's why I love REDX, because I can see how many calls I made, how many connections I've had, how many attempts. Pulse. There you go. Yeah. Love Pulse. That's data. I can see, and I have my students pull up that data. Oh, really? It doesn't work? Cool. Pull up your Pulse. And let me see it. What have you done? So shut the freak up and go back to work. Honestly, it's like, I'm not losing weight. Oh, really? How much have you worked out? How many calories have you eaten? So we get into specifics. Yeah. When it comes to prospecting, it's very simple math. You want to make 100K? It's 5 friends a day. I said it today. 5 friends a day, 100K. You want to do that? So show me how many calls you made. How many conversations did you have? Right. How many friends did you make? It's very black and white. So anyone that wants to tell me in those Facebook groups, they're like, oh my gosh, I just can't do anything. Man, the market sucks. All right, cool. How many calls have you made? And when do you prospect? That's another good one. When do you guys prospect? If it's a long-winded answer, and you're not specific, you're not doing it. Because you should know when you're working out, what body part, right? We're very specific on our cardio.
Right.
I do Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I do cardio. Tuesday, Thursdays, I do bench. And on weekends, I do the, okay, cool. That means you actually do those things.
Right.
If I ask you about prospecting, you should be specific. Yeah, 10 to 12 I call. I call my FISBOs Monday through Wednesday. I call my personal sphere on Thursdays and Fridays. Cool. Now I know you're driving a business. Do that for a year, then we'll talk in a year, and then we can both complain.
Right.
But until then, you got nothing to complain. So if you're listening to that and you're saying, wow, that hurt me, good. Because you know why? 90% failure rate pisses me off. Because people are coming to this business to pursue their dreams, to become, like, create legacy and generational wealth for their family, and they're coming here to do it. So if I don't get in your face and get specifics, I'm not going to give you high level, hey, just make calls. No, that's another problem people do. Just make calls. No, we have to get into specifics. We got to get into the science of why you're not doing what you're doing, which is why we teach what we teach. So I want to get in the listener's face right now, because if you don't do this, you're going to end up quitting the business and going to a crappy ass job that you can't stand, and you're going to be miserable. And this world needs more people that are happy and have their calling and are just super fulfilled in life. Okay. That's not the money. It's the fact that you're able to do what you should be doing. And that to me creates happier people. Happier people is a happier engagement in the world. And that's how we can truly make world change, if you want to get really deep about this. So take real estate seriously, guys. Take real estate seriously, because this is something that if you don't make it happen, what else are you gonna do? So yeah, sorry, I get mad for no reason. By the way, I get cranked up.
But you're passionate about it.
I do, because I see so many lives that people give up. And they give up on themselves, and I know it's not their fault, but if they just quit, then I can't help them. If they don't want to make the change,
right?
And I really think as a service, I love you guys so much, because you guys, from a habit perspective, make prospecting so easy, because all I got to do is click a couple buttons, right? And I'm paying pennies per lead, right? Which is it's the cheapest in the business to get leads that way, and it's just easy for me. So as a habit coach, I eat you guys up because I love this. I'm like, it's easy, perfect. And we can replicate it. I can control the conversations. I'm on this. Great. Of course I do Facebook ads and I do other things, but those are like level 2, level 3 things. Right. But fundamental, level 1, you should be talking to your sphere. You should be with REDX, and you should be doing that. That's level 1. New agent. You're listening to this. Level 1 is your cell phone. All your contacts should be uploaded, right? And I know REDX has some beautiful things with the sphere that's coming up. I don't know if it's out yet, but I know some really cool things are happening. So level 1 is that your sphere, and then calling your FISBOs, your expireds, your geo leads, whatever you're calling, you control that from a habit perspective. Oh, that's beautiful, because now you can have hundreds and thousands of conversations, right? Then if you want to get cute, of course, you can go door knocking, you can go Facebook ads, realtor.com, Zillow, you can do all these things, but that costs a whole crap load of money and it's a lot of time, right? So that's why I say, you're listening to this right now, start off with the basics. Level 1, let's go. It's REDX and Sphere. That's what you got to do.
Nice.
Yeah.
I love this. I think this is so important for new agents to hear. They get into the business and they're like, okay, now what, right? And so I think these are the basics, the fundamentals, like you said, to start a business that is going to be successful.
Amen.
I think the 90% rate can really get into people's heads and get them scared. But I love your passion for trying to help people find their passion and be happy and be fulfilled. So thank you so much. I know it's been a quick half an hour.
I know, that flew by. I'm like, really? Half an hour? What?
I know. So it's been great. This has been a lot. I mean, like, I think we could dive so much more into this stuff, but I know I want to make sure that you plug what you have for people. So why don't you do that?
Yes. The scripts that I was talking about, the morning routines, if you guys want that, go to habitguys.com/extras with an S at the end, right? Extras. So EXTRA. Yeah, put it in the notes. Download it's free scripts in English and in Spanish, right? And you'll love that morning routine and an afternoon routine, and the scripts also that me and my team use, which you'll love. So
awesome. Well, thank you so much.
No problem.
For providing so much value for our audience and also providing those free assets. It's amazing. People want that stuff, but
yeah.
hopefully they'll use it.
Use it, please. Use it. Come on.
Exactly. Andy's here to help you for free. So you definitely need to check those out. But thank you so much for everyone that is tuning in, whether you are watching live or you're listening to this afterwards. Thank you so much. If you want to subscribe to our podcast, you can subscribe on YouTube or wherever you like to listen to podcasts. You can also go to the redx.com/podcast and put your email in, and we'll email you every time there's a new episode. But I think that's it for today. Thank you so much, and we'll see everybody next week.
Let's do it.
Woo!
Yes!
Done!
Yes. Boom.